Welcome to mind control. The keys to your mind unlocking your personal power. Hey, what's going on? This is Matt Dietrich with the Hypnotists community. And I got a question for you. Have you ever gotten super pumped up to go out and do hypnosis or go out there and perform for somebody, only to take yourself out of the game with all the crazy mental mind chatter? Like, your head spinning around like the poltergeist and vomiting pea soup? Well, did you know you have control as to what thoughts take up space in your mind? And if you let those negative thoughts that beat you down in life and feel like you're going crazy, kind of like this guy, like, quite a shocking experience. Don't try this at home. Well, you don't have to use electroshock therapy. You don't have to spend years meditating in the mountains. And you don't even have to travel around the world like the woman in Eat, Pray, Love, though. Come to think of it, that'd be pretty cool, eh? Pretty freaking cool, actually. And you can do that when you use the 3 simple yet profound things we're about to talk about in this video. And even if you don't remember it consciously now, one of the things I promised you when you signed up were 3 resources. First one is reframing. The second one is pattern interrupts. And the third one is the big P of permission. And we're going to cover these in a different order than they are presented here, but these are the 3 simple yet profound things that I told you about when you signed up for the Hypnotips community. Remember when you put your name and your email address in, I talked about 3 resources and avoiding, or maybe not avoiding, because we don't want avoidance behavior. Not cool what that leads to. It's reframing the out-of-context feelings of failure. So, before we get to each of those, may I tell you a little bit about me, just so you can get to know a little bit more about me. And if that's not okay with you, just quite simply go ahead and turn off the video. It's cool. I'll still attract the cool kids that I want to work with. And I wish you the best anyways, because in my book, you still rock. And for those about to rock, fire! We salute you! Some AC/DC for you. And you rock too, those of you that are going forward with this video, because that means you're open to learning, to using something simple yet profound, and seeing what it can do for you. So here's a little bit of my journey in life. Up there in the upper right is me when I won 5th place in the triple jump in high school. I'm there on the far left in the Letterman's jacket. And it wasn't always that way for me in high school, though, because my freshman year, the very first time, I can remember that very vividly. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I looked like a cracked out kangaroo on the football field. And I'm like, Coach, I don't know how to make my legs work like that. My legs. I've got no arms and I've got no legs. I don't know how to make my legs work. So I went from that to using hypnosis and visualization, just knowing that somehow I was going to make this work, to going on to being on varsity all 3 years in track. And the other part of that was I also got freshman of the year, and then as you can see in this picture, I got 5th in conference my junior year. I didn't do track and field my senior year, which led to another one of these pictures. That's the one in the bottom middle when I DJ'd in the desert for a bunch of my closest friends. It's my boy Chip in the background in his white jumpsuit, me and my desert camis. And that was a dream that I had. The very first time I had turntables, or decks as we call them in the industry. I was on my barracks floor when I was in the Marine Corps with both of these decks. I just got them, opened the boxes. It was like Christmas. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I went from that to living one of my dreams of DJing in the desert. They're using the principles and the fundamentals of hypnosis. It works. I'm not sharing these things with you to impress you. It's to impress upon you. When you use simple principles, they have profound effects in your life. The one right next to that, that's me as a hypnotist. Halloween last year. I figured I'm committed to going all out and committed to being a hypnotist and to growing this business. So everything I do is based around that in some way, shape, or form. So there I am, dressed as a hypnotist. My friend Mark's taking the picture. It's downtown Chicago. And then the one on the far left, that's me presenting to a women's group. I was presenting the fundamentals and the principles of hypnosis to them. It was a group that was talking about abundance and tapping into that greater power that we all know we have inside of us. And I'm working with, I believe her name was Kimberly, and she thought that she couldn't remember names. So I'm in the middle of doing the magnetic hands just to test her out in the beginning. And then I went into Mind Eraser to help her remember names more easily. So the one right above that is Mr. Igor Letahovsky and I, when he presented me with my hypnotherapy certification. And that was 6 days of hypnosis, going to the bar, more hypnosis, going to downtown Chicago. It was crazy. But it was also awesome because we made some really great connections there. I improved my skills, had a great time. And that's what it's all about, because that brings me to the middle picture on the top. I'm there at the Hoover Dam. That was actually, that was right after a street hypnosis training that I was at in Vegas. It represents the fact that life is good. Simple as that. I went out there and did my first street hypnosis demonstration while in Vegas, and the girl that I was working with, she was from Amsterdam. And afterwards, she gave me a tip. And I was like, wow, that was pretty awesome to me, because my whole intention was just to get out there and practice. I saw she wasn't the happiest at the moment. She was having an okay day. And we went through the street hypnosis routine, and boom! She went over to her friends. They got, they all sparked up with laughter and having a good time. Then she walked over, put it in my hand, and I was like, that's awesome. Pretty freaking amazing. Amazing. So, the first thing is a pattern interrupt. Because when you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and wondering why you're not getting different results and over, you know what you gotta do? Stop. Use a pattern interrupt. Because if you ever studied personal development, one of the things that they talk about is having awareness. So when you become aware of those things that you want to change in your life, the reason why people say, oh my gosh, change is hard, and it's because of course it is when you don't use something like a pattern interrupt, because it's easy to go back into what's familiar and what you've done all these years wondering why you haven't gotten different results. The pattern interrupt then stops the pattern. So whether that's a clap, whether that's tapping your left elbow, hopping on your right foot, and barking at the moon like Ozzy, whatever that is for you, do that. You can even use this with other people. Like if there's somebody in your life that always comes to you and complains all the time, you can use a pattern interrupt with them. You can start singing, I've been working on the railroad. And they'll be like, what? And you'll be like, oh, sorry, I got sidetracked there for a minute. What were you saying again? And do that 2 or 3 times. And it's not that you're being rude. It's you're actually helping them break that pattern. Because eventually you'll be amazed at just how simple that is, but how powerfully that works. So the next thing is reframing. That frame there. on the left represents, it's gray. It's got the hypno swirl in it. It represents those limiting beliefs, that self-image that we forgot to nurture. Those times in life where we feel like we got beat down and what do we do now? What's next? Oh man, what do I do? What do you do? You know what you do? You reframe those situations. And I'll use 2 examples to show you what I mean. One is I had a hypnotherapy client for quitting smoking, and in the end she had sent me a message that quote unquote it didn't work. And throughout the entire experience, I read, or I sensed that intuitively she was putting the responsibility on me to change for her. That's why I tested as much as I did during our session was, are you sure you're ready now? Are you sure you want to quit smoking? And so at first, right after that, I felt like a failure. Like, man, I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm supposed to succeed all the time. And so I felt bad about it. And then I realized, after one of the things that helped with that, and by the way, this is a key insight for you to avoid those not avoiding, because avoidance behavior, not cool. To reframe the out of context feelings of failure is to share it with somebody else. I shared it with somebody else in my industry. It's actually Igor. I shared it with him, and he replied to me and explained a couple of the things that I had talked about. And at the end, he said, you can look at this with an air of gratitude. Reflect on this often with an air of gratitude. The feeling of gratitude. Knowing that your client was one of the 10%, which some might call an impossible. So, wow. I was just thinking to myself too as I was telling you about that. I just thought of like 3 different videos I can create for you. So stay tuned for even more improved and better content as we move forward together. So the other thing that I reframe too, if you're a hypnotist that performs, you do stage hypnosis, you're a magician, you're a mentalist, whatever it is that you do. I was doing a routine called Mind Eraser for the very first time, and the lady remembered the card. I freaked out for a fraction of a second, and I was like, ooh, but if I let it show, then it's not going to be a good thing. So I snapped out of it, and I went straight into what's called sticky card, where she couldn't drop the card, which was hilarious, because afterwards she's like, I could have dropped the card. And I was like, of course, love, you could have dropped the card, but you didn't, did you? My unconscious mind sometimes is British, by the way, because after hanging out with hypnotists in Vegas for about a week and a half, it happens. So that is reframing. The question marks are there because how can you use this in your own life? How can you reframe these things in your life, both past, present, and whenever you encounter them? And how can you help other people do the same? Third thing is the big P. And no, I'm not talking about big pun. I'm talking about permission. Giving yourself permission to go out there and quote unquote fail and get feedback and pick yourself up or scrape yourself up off the concrete. And use whatever lesson was there so you can improve and move forward. This graphic in the top right is hilarious to me. It says, please, can I study my schoolwork, Mom? And she's all like, for the last time, no, go play some video games. I totally wish that I would have heard that as a kid, because then I wouldn't have gone to school and I wouldn't have learned. And, well, considering how our education system turned out, at least in the US, things that make you go, There's actually quite a few successful people that I have studied that didn't complete school and were highly, highly successful. But if you're in school, stay in school, because school is cool and all that good stuff. So the thing in the middle, what's that? What's that permission slip? Well, if you have kids, send them to school and have them bring you home a permission slip, or go to the office supply store and see if they have permission slips, or make your own. And what this permission slip represents is writing on it, or however you want to put it in your own words, but giving yourself the permission to go out there and fail and make mistakes and screw up and laugh at yourself. And if you think it sounds cheesy, well, think it sounds cheesy and do it anyways, because it works. Because then you remember that, and then you'll be able to laugh at yourself, and you'll keep moving forward. So now, you're at a crossroads. You could continue doing things the way that you did them. You could forget about this video. You could let it go and not use these 3 simple but profound things and not help other people with them, and still get the results you've been getting. And maybe you're getting awesome results in certain parts of your life, but maybe you're not getting results in others, and you can still get those same mediocre results in the other parts of your life if you choose to. That's cool. You choose what you'll choose to do. I can simply only present the content to you, which is the other part of the crossroads, is using this stuff in your own life. Using pattern interrupts, interrupting your pattern, helping other people, interrupting their pattern. Using reframing. Using permission. Or teaching this stuff to other people. It's one of the best ways to learn something, is to teach it to others. Which leads us both to the last part, is share the love. I can reach people on my own, but there might be people I'm not able to reach that you can reach. And I'm asking you to please, if you got anything out of this video, any value whatsoever on any level, share this with other people. Share it with your mom. Send it to your grandma. Send it to your best friend. Send it to your girlfriend. Send it to your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or whatever. Just send it to somebody. Pass it along. Pay it forward. So we can reach more people that can use these simple but profound things in their life. And I appreciate you for that. Because I put my heart and soul into this content for you. So I don't think it's asking too much if you share the love to reach the people I might not be able to reach. Because it's my mission to reach thousands upon thousands of people worldwide and have them live the life they were meant to live. So the last thing is, I gotta give some credit to the photos that helped me tell the stories that I told today. And I appreciate you. And as always, it's all gonna be all right. So get out there, do what you gotta do, take some action, get into action, appreciate, be grateful, share the love, and be who you is, because it is what it is. And I'll see you on the other side. This is Matt Dietrich, the remarkable hypnotist with the Hypnotips Hypnotists community. I'll see you soon.